Caretaker cabinet set. Abel outlines first 100-day plan. And alliance members announce pact.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Friday's news. Alatau MP Charles Abel is now Deputy Prime Minister in the PNC-led coalition government. The Governor-General, Sir Bob Dadai, has sworn in a caretaker cabinet for the 10th Parliament. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says more ministers will be assigned to portfolios before the next Parliament sitting.
Late yesterday afternoon, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced his 7-man caretaker cabinet. Governor-General Sir Bob Dadai sworn 7 other members of the coalition and the Prime Minister to be caretaker ministers. The People's Progress Party's Kainantu MP Johnson Tuke is also a state minister. And Charles Abel is now Deputy Prime Minister in the 10th Parliament.
I praise the Lord that we've come through in a relatively calm and peaceful election. No election in Papua New Guinea is completely violence-free. But I praise the Lord that our country continues to go forward. We exercise democracy, we enjoy democracy, and we really appreciate that privilege. I'm so honoured to have taken part once again, together with my people of Milenba and Alatau, played a large part in the formation of this PNC-led government.
The ministers have 5 portfolios under them until ministers are appointed. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says a full cabinet will be appointed before the next Parliament sitting.
So those considerations have been now given due attention, and we will have a full cabinet before Parliament starts.
The caretaker cabinet includes Yanguru South Sia MP Richard Maru, Taripori James Marape, Hagen William Duma, Alotau Charles Abel, Wapanamanda Rimbing Pato, and Abau MP Sir Pukatemu. Richard Maru retains the Trade, Commerce and Industry portfolio and caretaking the National Planning portfolio as well, while Charles Abel is caretaking the Treasury portfolio. Rimbing Pato, James Marape and Pukatemu hold their previous portfolios in the 9th government. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
The national government has outlined its immediate plan to return confidence to the people despite the economic struggles faced by the country. Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel says this is one of the first priorities in the second Alatau Accord. Mr. Abel says a team has been established to meet targets and possible deliverables for the first 100 days in the caretaker government.
Following the swearing-in of the caretaker government yesterday, the Deputy Prime Minister and caretaker Treasury Minister made his first engagement this afternoon to talk about the economy. Mr. Abel says the slow global growth has had effects on the country's economy, thus the government is pushing for a working solution to improve revenue and drive economic growth.
To make sure that government is able to sustain its important programs, and to make sure that we begin to emphasize sustaining and supporting income generation, especially our small businesses and big businesses, and continue to help put money into the pockets of ordinary Papua New Guineans.
The caretaker treasurer spoke highly of a 100-day plan to return confidence to the country. He says the list of targets include efficient spending and getting most value from borrowing programs. Mr. Abel says a supplementary budget has been considered.
We will be considering a supplementary budget to respond to some of the issues that have arisen, to ensure that we continue to meet some of the targets as projected in our budget, and we continue to manage this economy responsibly and live within our means.
The Deputy Prime Minister made a statement in Port Moresby following the release of the mid-year economic and fiscal outlook report.
Part of the strategy will be what the new things that we can do in terms of tax and non-tax, and some of the things that we really need to focus on in the immediate term is what we can do currently. And compliance for us is a really big issue. So all the efforts of this year and over the next successive years must be looking towards making sure that everyone who should be paying tax is paying tax.
The economy has been the center of debate in the last term of government.
And so we are looking at all these issues. I think the MyFO report is a very frank an honest report. And as a responsible government, we take these issues on board and we make sure that we are working collectively to address all those issues.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Two members from the Western Province have officially joined the PNG party. Governor for Western, Taboy Awi Yoto, and Northfly MP James Donald signed their party instruments this morning with PNG party executives. They say the move is in the best interest of their people and to show their commitment to the alliance bloc.
This morning, Western Governor Taboy Awi Yoto and Northfly MP James Donald met with PNG party leader Belden Nama to make the announcement. They maintained a commitment with the opposition team of the alliance despite being endorsed as members of the United Resource Party and People's Party. Northfly MP James Donald, who ousted PNG strongman Boka Kondra, says the move is to show solidarity to the alliance and work to achieve people's interest in his electorate and at the national level.
There's no exception that we will hesitate. It's straightforward that we would like to be part of PNG party and work together. I, for one, believe that my governor and I, being in one party, is a way forward to delivering service.
PNG party leader and Vanimo Green MP Belden Nama welcomed the two leaders, stating PNG party will provide the political leadership and work to achieve the best for Western people despite being in the opposition.
And I believe by God's grace, we will do it. So with that, me like to thank you, all the people of Papua New Guinea, all the supporters from throughout the country, all people of the Western Province, give me good governor, people of the Northfly, give me good member of the Northfly.
Formal instruments were signed in front of PNG party executives and the parliamentary leader. Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Rabaul MP Dr. Alan Marat has returned to East New Britain Province following the adjournment of Parliament on Wednesday. Dr. Marat was given a congratulatory welcome by the East New Britain people at the Tokwa airport when he arrived this morning. Many who gathered to welcome Dr. Marat say he has represented the East New Britain people well by promoting principles of good governance. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Dr. Alan Marat's arrival this morning at Tokwa airport was small but significant. He arrived not to a pomp and ceremony but to a typical traditional Tolai welcome. The choirs and the hugs and the handshakes. For the people who gathered this morning to welcome him, say they want to show their support to the man they regarded as loyal and someone who upholds the principles of good governance. But what captures most of the people's attention is his loyalty to represent the people, not from the government's bench, but from the opposition's bench.
It's very rare now to find good leaders. Good leaders who are principled, certainly stand of principles, with moral values, and we hard now to find him.
Dr. Marat is one of 5 elected MPs from East New Britain Province who chose to join the alliance bloc, while the other 4 MPs joined the PNC-led bloc. Dr. Marat was also a nominee for the Parliament Speaker, nominated by the Alliance on Wednesday during the first sitting of the 10th National Parliament, but he fell short to get the majority of votes to claim the Speaker's seat. He was defeated by PNC's nominee and member for Manus, Job Pomat, who secured 60 votes to 46 votes to claim the Speaker's seat.
So only nominating me as Speaker. Right now, only nominating the current Speaker, Job Pomat.
The East New Britain people, meanwhile, have lashed against the other 4 MPs who joined the PNC-led camp during the formation of government. Their inclusion in the PNC-led camp have sent a public outcry all over East New Britain Province. The East New Britain people demanded that their 4 MPs must join the alliance bloc prior to the government formation, but their pleas have achieved unsatisfactory results.
I look forward to working with those 4 on the other side. The situation was G5. Situation was G5. You -4, you're left with G1.
Dr. Marat has since been regarded as one of opposition's stronghold in the last National Parliament, and his return to the opposition in the 10th National Parliament has yet again got standing ovations, not only from the East New Britain people, but the entire Papua New Guinea. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Kundiawa MP-elect Willie Onglo is expected to announce which side of the House he will join when he takes his oath of office. The local businessman unseated Tobias Kulang. His declaration was made yesterday in Kundiawa. When asked the question, he said he had not given serious thought to it because he was focused on the elections. Meanwhile, the Simbu regional seat is expected to be declared tomorrow. This follows minor delays today. And you're with National EMTV News. We'll have more when we return after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The Alliance Coalition has signed an agreement today called the Alliance Accord. The document binds the members together with the common goal of providing the country with what they believe is a better alternate government.
A majority of the members of the Alliance Coalition, or the alternate government as they like to be called, gathered to show that they are intact with common goals and have strategized to ensure that those plans are carried out effectively.
Getting to that today is a start for our team, and we're looking forward to taking our seats.
We will not break, we will be solid, and I'm very happy to sit here amongst the leaders of the coalition.
46 leaders stood because they listened to their people. The Prime Minister was elected by politicians. Yeah. That is not the people's Prime Minister. The people's leaders are right here before you.
We believe that the current state of affairs in the country at this present point in time is the culmination of very, very bad policies.
For so long as this style of management remains and does not change, neither our attitude will be. Our commitment and resolve remains.
I'm proud of the 46 who are standing here solid. We shall not be moved.
Member for Mosby Northwest and former Prime Minister Sir Mekere Morauta highlighted some of the actions the Alliance Coalition would take.
We want to also to provide for Papua New Guinea an ethical and competent government that these Papua New Guineans deserve. We also will work together to weed out corruption, which is a cancer eating the body of Papua New Guinea.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
5 people are confirmed dead and more than 20 suffering from severe injuries and bullet wounds as a result of election-related unrest in Wabeg yesterday. Western Command Commander ACP Mark Yangen said supporters of former Kandep MP Don Polier went on a rampage following the declaration of candidate Alfred Manasseh on Wednesday morning. Full manpower of more than 500 Joint Security Forces personnel are currently in Wabeg to contain the situation and clear roadblocks. Vasinata Yama reports.
The fight started on the morning of Wednesday, the 2nd of August, straight after the declaration of Alfred Manasseh as member-elect for Kandep opened. Supporters of former MP Don Polier went on a rampage, burning down more than 150 houses at Amala village near Wabeg town, where the provincial administrator Dr. Samson Amian is from. The men claimed that the PA, as the steering committee chairman, had advised the returning officer to go straight into elimination, which was on Tuesday, without counting Don Polier's 7 disputed boxes. However, Dr. Amian denied the claim and says the decision was made by the Electoral Commissioner and he had no input.
Work for election manager and work for him. Directions belong him, and Electoral Commissioner has given directions for him. You belong with a clear law this law. People him stop workman belong. Now you just condemn and go along. Electoral Commission, now Electoral Commission see him. And stop workman to Electoral Commission.
Yesterday morning, Polier's supporters returned to Amala and burnt down the houses which remained standing. After returning from Amala, they decided to go to Wabeg town to destroy and burn down properties there. They were unsuccessful as there were heavy security forces blocking all roads into the town. The Kal tribe of Amala village retaliated and shot dead 3 men from Kandep and 2 from the Key tribe of Theramanda village near Wabeg town. The Key tribe has been accommodating Polier's supporters. In an exchange of gunshots between the rival groups, more than 20 men and women were injured with bullet wounds.
So then they start accusing the provincial administrator for not allowing the 7 boxes to be counted. So I think they went to his village and started burning all the houses. But very lucky that everybody just left the village and all empty houses all went down in ashes, including some permanent buildings, some vehicles. And that's it. And that's the time when we mobilized ourselves. So we went and started, and the roadblocks were also down. So we went back and they started moving the roadblocks and started moving the other guys from Terramana back, especially those that don't police people. Yeah, but a lot of destructions were done this morning, yeah.
According to the report of the returning officer of Kandep Open, Ben Basawe, the 7 disputed boxes were hijacked and tampered with. Based on the report of the unrest, the Electoral Commission office advised that the boxes must not be counted, and if there are any grievances, it can be taken to the Court of Disputed Returns.
The disputed boxes, the commissioner said set aside. And I also made a decision to set those boxes aside. They can take it to the Court of Disputed Return.
Police from Mount Hagen and Mendi were called into Wabek yesterday to assist. Reports on the ground are that there is heavy presence of security force and roadblocks have been cleared since this morning. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Wabek.
Kandep candidate and the party leader, Don Polier, has claimed a lack of scrutiny in the Kandep Open counting. He further claimed remaining ballot boxes were not counted, which questions the integrity of the election process and says the unrest in Kandep would have been avoided. He has called on the Electoral Commissioner to play an independent role and not be politicized.
Now play his independent role. He must play his independent role. That means you cannot listen to the current government. You cannot listen to the current the governor of the province. You cannot listen to his officers on the ground. You cannot listen to all those biased and vindictive people. But you must listen to sincere and honest views that I'm expressing here. You can listen to other honest people if the Electoral Commissioner wants to fix this problem. Otherwise, we will see supporters and people will continue to fight and kill each other. Even when the elections are over, the problem will still be there. It is my commitment that I will also put an end to the tribal warfare. And I think that's what we're doing at the moment, and I hope that we sustain that stop and sustain the peace and for a long time.
Border development and security will be a priority for Vanimo Green MP Beldan Nama and Western Governor Taboy Awioto. Mr. Nama said having both Sundown and Western governors in his PNG party will enable proper planning and work on improving border security in the 2 provinces.
Border security and development has been on the agenda for the Vanimo Green MP since he was first elected in 2007. However, Mr. Nama says successive governments have failed to improve border security between PNG and Indonesia.
See, we created the Border Development Authority to be able to address the border issues. But successive governments have hijacked this Border Development Authority and used it as a milking cow.
In 2015, a joint operation between the PNG Customs and PNGDF revealed an increase in illegal border activities. Drug smuggling, money laundering, and even human trafficking were the main activities happening along the border in West Sepik. To date, a new border facility has been built in Vanimo, while Western Province has nothing.
And that has been a missing link for me in my province to try and move the province forward. And I believe through the victory of Honorable Tony Wawa and the victory of Honorable Yotoi, we will be able to combine the 2 major provinces that has the major land border with the populous Muslim country in the world, Indonesia.
Meanwhile, the newly elected Western governor says one of his reasons to join PNG party was to work close with Mr. Nama to develop a proper border facility for Western Province.
With the party leader from the border, we may be able to address some of the issues together.
And I will be calling on the government to appoint someone from Western Province or Sundown as the CEO of Border Development Authority so that these two governors and myself and the other MPs who live on the border can properly address the border issues.
Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
Away from politics now, and tomorrow, several prominent local musicians will be performing together for the first time at the Lamana Golf Club. The musical collaboration is to raise funds for the Papua New Guinea Children's Foundation, an organization that has been working for years with underprivileged children at the 6 Mile settlement in Port Moresby. Artists including Moses Tau, Mariani Masani and Daddy G, among others, spoke to MTV News to explain what motivated them to be part of this initiative.
The Papua New Guinean Children's Foundation is a charity organization to fund the less fortunate children around Papua New Guinea. Raising money for this charity is an annual dilemma, and each year the committee have to come up with entertaining events to involve the public to meet funding needs. The school called the Chiara Learning Center at 6 Mile Settlement, which has one classroom that caters for 180 students between the ages of 4 and 7, having their classes split into 2 sessions just to accommodate for everyone. With this in mind, the PNG Children's Foundation have organized a concert with PNG artists who have kindly donated their time for this worthy cause.
Oh, when she took the idea out, it was really moving because you talk about giving your life, giving your talent, especially your talent, and you're trying to serve and look after your kids, children of Papua New Guinea who really needed me. And if I'm granted by God to give me this kind of gift as a singer, what will I give back to my people, especially the Children Foundation, the kids? So that kind of initiative that I really want to take a drive together with it, and I want to be part of it, and then I want to give myself really all to support the night event. And I really thank Jackie because when she approached me, thank Jackie for approaching and knowing that I have the capability to be part of this event, to give my services to my people of Papua New Guinea.
They are branding them as the PNG All-Stars and are calling the show the PNG All-Stars for Charity Concert. The artists are Moses Tau, Mariani Masani, Sprigga Mac, 04, Daddy G, Sai K, Planet Native, DJ Dirty Fingers, Henry and Santana. The show will be held at the Lamana Golf Club on Saturday, 5th of August 2017 and will bring much needed attention and assistance to the PNG Children's Foundation.
What you have seen tonight is just an appetizer of what will go down here at the Lamana Golf Club on Saturday night, where some of the most talented Papua New Guinean artists come under one roof, not just to entertain, but to establish a link between a noble cause and the artist community. The PNG Children's Foundation want to give hope to the underprivileged kids, and this is a cause we should all support. Isabel Druma, National MTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.307 US, $0.3822 Australian dollars, $0.2549 euro, and 33.4 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed lower, cocoa and copper closed higher. Palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed the day unchanged. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 9 points higher, the ASX 13 points lower, and the All Ordinaries 10 points lower. You're with National MTV News. When we come back, some stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Turning overseas now, new details have been leaked about United States President Donald Trump's private phone conversation with 2 U.S. allies. One was with the Mexican president and the other with Australia's Prime Minister. The Washington Post has obtained transcripts of those conversations.
Of Australia. Now, the Washington Post has obtained transcripts of those conversations, and the reflection on Mr. Trump is not flattering. CNN's Jim Acosta has the details.
Who's going to pay for the wall? Who?
It was a key campaign promise pushed by then-candidate Donald Trump time and again. Not just a wall on the border with Mexico, but a wall that Mexico will fully fund.
We're going to build a big, beautiful wall. A big, beautiful wall. And we're going to have a door in the wall, and people are going to come into our country. But what are they going to do? They're going to come in legally. Who's going to pay for the wall? Who's going to pay for the wall? Who's going to pay for that wall?
But in transcripts of President Trump's January phone call with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto obtained by the Washington Post, it's clear there are cracks in that promise of a wall. In the call, Mr. Trump says, if you're going to say that Mexico is not going to pay for the wall, then I do not want to meet with you guys anymore because I cannot live with that. I'm willing to say that we will work it out, but that means it will come out in the wash, and that is okay. Believe it or not, this is the least important thing that we are talking about, but politically, this might be the most important. Peña Nieto stood firm, saying, but my position has been and will continue to be very firm, saying that Mexico cannot pay for that wall. The president's response, but you cannot say that to the press. The press is going to go with that, and I cannot live with that. You cannot say that to the press because I cannot negotiate under those circumstances.
Thank you very much.
The president also appears to chalk up his victory in the New Hampshire primary to the state's opioid drug crisis. Mr. Trump tells the Mexican president, I won New Hampshire because New Hampshire is a drug-infested den. That comment drew bipartisan criticism from New Hampshire officials, with the state's GOP governor saying the president is wrong. It's disappointing his mischaracterization of this epidemic ignores the great things the state has to offer. Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan was even tougher.
His words were disgusting. They're an outrage. And my message really is this. He should stop insulting people and instead work with us to get the resources to our state and states all around the country who are also challenged by this epidemic.
Another leaked transcript comes from the president's call with the Australian Prime Minister that reveals the two leaders bickering over an Obama administration plan to welcome refugees from Australia. During the conversation, the president says he had a much friendlier call earlier in the day with Russia's Vladimir Putin. It is an embarrassment to the United States of America, and you can say it just the way I said it. I will say it just that way. As far as I'm concerned, that is enough, Malcolm. I have had it. I've been making these calls all day, and that is the most unpleasant call all day. Putin was a pleasant call. This is ridiculous. The president had said that any reports of a testy call were fake news. The tense exchange leaked earlier this year made a splash on Saturday Night Live.
I'm tired and cranky, and I feel like I could just freak out on somebody.
Then maybe you should call Australia.
Mr. Trump, thank you for still accepting our refugees.
Homie, say what? No refugees. America first. Australia sucks. Your reef is failing. Prepare to go to war.
Wait.
Asked about those leaked transcripts once again, an aide to the president said the White House won't be commenting on those conversations. That official did reiterate the opioid crisis remains a concern for the president.
Meanwhile, Australia's Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull is downplaying the leak of this conversation with Mr. Trump, saying he enjoys a warm relationship with the US leader.
Well, Asher, it's interesting. I don't think too many people stand up to Donald Trump. That's certainly what Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull did back in January. And we knew that back then because it was a heated exchange that ended abruptly. But obviously this leaked transcript certainly fills in the holes. Malcolm Turnbull today is being applauded for standing up for Australia. But he's also being criticised for not being truthful to the Australian public. When he presented this deal to the Australian public, he said that this was not a swap, that basically America was going to take these 1,250 refugees who tried to get here illegally by boat, which is why they're not allowed to stay. Australia has a very hardline immigration policy, but he didn't fess up that in actual fact Australia was going to be taking refugees from America, from Central America. So this is a bit of a problem for him today. I think the other problem for Malcolm Turnbull is the line in this transcript where he says, we'll take anybody you want. So a bit of kowtowing, obviously Malcolm Turnbull trying to please Donald Trump during a very testy conversation. But as you say, today when he addressed the media, he maintained that the two men definitely have a warm relationship. Let's have a listen.
It's always better when these conversations remain confidential, but I got no, I haven't got any further comments to make on it. It was as I said, it was a courteous, frank conversation. As President Trump said, we're both adults, and we've had I stand up for Australia's interests. He stands up for America's interests.
Now, Aisha, it was interesting during this address to the media. Malcolm Turnbull thanked Donald Trump for honouring that refugee deal. Well, we have spoken to some of those refugees who are at Nauru in that detention centre where they have been for the last 3 years, living in hideous conditions, waiting to be moved. And they say that while some of them have spoken to US authorities for that vetting process, certainly no one has left the island. So we are obviously closely following development.
3 years ago, ISIS launched a genocide campaign in Iraq against religious minority known as the Yazidi. Thousands of people were killed. Yesterday, they marked the anniversary of the start of the brutal campaign. CNN reports the situation has improved, but their ordeal is far from over.
A dramatic rescue in the desert. Desperate families climb aboard a chaotic helicopter flight to safety. The face of a young girl overcome with emotion and exhaustion. This is how much of the world was introduced to Iraq's Yazidi population 3 years ago. CNN's Ivan Watson was there as Iraq's Air Force delivered aid and rescued as many people as they could who were trapped on Sinjar Mountain. This after ISIS began what the UN calls a systematic genocide against the Yazidis, a small religious minority of Kurdish descent. ISIS killed thousands of Yazidi men and women. Thousands more were kidnapped, many forced to become sex slaves or fighters. Those who survived fled their ancestral homes, some across the border into Syria. Others lived in refugee camps while Iraqi forces battled ISIS. Now the city of Sinjar has been liberated, and on Thursday, hundreds of Yazidis marked the 3rd anniversary of the start of the genocide. Many dressed in white, carrying signs and banners, marching on a local shrine, a sacred site. One sign called it the day humanity died. Another refers to the darkness in the desert. 3 years later, the wounds inflicted by ISIS are still fresh.
Honestly, I don't know where to start when talking about this. Do we talk about the abductions, or the mass graves, or the enslavement of women, or the rapes? It is a truly painful memory.
All of these young Yazidis say they have a family member or friend killed or abducted by ISIS. This 11-year-old girl recounts the horrifying story of how ISIS captured her family and pointed a gun at her father's head. Her story ends in tears. And while the Yazidis' pain continues, many say their situation is improving.
A bit better now, but we're still frightened. Some are suffering from psychological issues. We're still frightened of the Islamic State.
Much of Sinjar remains a city in ruins, but the streets and playgrounds are starting to see signs of life. Some families are returning home, many others reluctant to come back, fearing the city could again fall to ISIS. And still thousands of Yazidis remain captives of ISIS, their ordeal far from over.
In Australia, it's been more than 2 months since the Referendum Council held historic talks. Now Indigenous leaders have travelled to the Gama Festival to discuss constitutional recognition and a voice for Aboriginal people in the federal parliament. One Australian delegate is calling for the removal of the race powers in the constitution.
Under the shadow of Uluru, hundreds of the nation's First Peoples came together in May to talk about recognition.
To achieve what we have started, the empowerment of our people, right the wrongs, correct the history and chart a better future for us all.
The Uluru's statement from the heart rejected symbolic change.
They talk about preamble, acknowledging us or recognising us. Now that is not strong enough. That's only just the introduction of a book. What we need to do is actually, and how Aboriginal people will know, is changing the rule book.
Now, the Central Australian delegates to the Uluru Convention say they'll use the Gama Festival to push for repeal of the race powers in the Constitution.
I've actually been affected by the Racial Discrimination Act being set aside to implement the Northern Territory Emergency Response 2007. Getting rid of the race powers, it is very important because we live in a democratic country and we aren't being treated as equals.
A former advisor to Prime Minister Bob Hawke says he wants the referendum to be held in 2020.
Why 2020? Well, it's the 250th anniversary of Cook's voyage into the Pacific, where he came upon this land now called Australia.
Exactly what question will be put to the Australian people is expected to be the centre of discussions at Gama.
We are looking at positions in both houses of federal parliament. We have to be involved in the structures of governance.
It's a proposal that's been waiting in the wings for decades, but for these leaders, the time is now.
You're watching National EMTV News. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The 2017 Pacific MMI Port Moresby Corporate Snooker Grand Finals are set for this weekend. Tomorrow's encounter will see PMMI Car Club taking on Tourers in the B grade decider, while Bank of PNG Cannons play PMMI Leftovers in the C grade title at Laguna at 2 p.m. Sunday's decider at the Q Club will see Top Shooters play DKS Automotive in a match that is expected to go down to the wire. The A-grade grand final on Sunday has Rapid Response Dragons up against Cousins at 2 p.m. at the Laguna Hotel. Tournament Director Joey Chan said the presentation for all grades will be held on Sunday at 7 p.m. at Lamana Q Club at the conclusion of the Premier Grade Grand Final. Understanding the proper use of gym facilities and combining exercises to better sporting athletes' performance is an important part of coaching, according to High Performance Sport Performance Manager Suluet Tarasomo. Tarasomo will be sharing her insight on coaching lessons during the National Federation workshop tomorrow at the High Performance Sports Centre in Port Moresby.
High Performance Sport Performance Manager Suluet Tarasomo recently attended Oceania Coaching Workshop in New Caledonia, where the participants identified various coaching methods lacking in the Pacific region. After returning to PNG, Tarasomo is hoping to impart that knowledge to the national coaches.
What we would like to do now is to just implement what we learned there into high performance, and also to pass the knowledge on to the national coaches.
Some of the key areas in coaching identified during the workshop was highlighted by Tarasomo, where she plans to help coaches improve on and better their coaching methods.
One of the things that we also learned there is how we can build the coaches in the Pacific region as well, how we can help each other with other Pacific countries.
Tarasomo said her encouragement to the coaches is to attend coaching courses and also to work hand in hand with the national federations to achieve positive results in their respective sporting codes.
My message to all the coaches, and I'd say the NFs as well, is to grab every opportunity that comes up, especially in coaching. And because of most coaches come under NFs, it would be also great that NFs also work along with their coaches. So they also work along with high performance and PNG also in any other courses. But not only that, if they have other courses apart from what we offer, they should also take that in, because those will be very good for them to develop themselves as well.
Meanwhile, the National Federation workshop is scheduled for 8 a.m. start tomorrow at the Taurama Aquatic Indoor Center, with over 20 National Federation representatives expected to attend. Tarasomo will be one of the key speakers at the meeting. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
To basketball, and preparations for the Melanesian Basketball Cup tournament in Port Moresby are progressing well, according to Basketball Federation PNG CEO Joel Kalu. He says it will be a tough selection process, as both the men's and women's teams have been hard at training.
With the Melanesia Cup on the horizon, Basketball Federation PNG boss Joel Kalu is quite pleased with the preparation of the players and the officials on the ground.
Yeah, look, we're really happy with preparations, both from a tournament organising standpoint and also in relation to our men's and women's national teams commencing training. So everything's looking good, a lot of work to be done, but yeah, look, it's all shaping up pretty well so far.
Both the men's and women's basketball team have less than 2 months to have their work cut out for them before the training camp intensifies over the coming weeks and the arrival of overseas-based players joining the camp.
We have 8 weeks between basically now and the tournament. The squads will train for 4 weeks. We will have a final team selection camp in the last weekend of August. That is where our international and base players will fly up to Moresby, along with our other players, squad members from Lae, Caving and Daru as well.
The participating countries includes Fiji, Solomon Islands, New Caledonia, are all confirmed to attend the tournament in Port Moresby from the 27th to the 30th of September.
It's fantastic that we've got the 4 countries. Obviously we've spoken in the past about this being a Pacific Games qualifying event, so the top 3 teams qualify for 2019, so a lot at stake. And we know how important it is that, not only do we finish in the top 3, but, we want to go out and win this thing.
This week's of preparation will be the last time for the players to impress the selectors for a place in the final team of 12 that will represent PNG in the FIBA Melanesia Cup titles.
Makeup, so the dynamic of the team in terms of positionals. We're also looking for players that obviously can play both ends of the floor, so we want two-way players, defensive players and offensive players.
However, Kalu admits it's going to be tough for the selectors to select the players on the final day of selections. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere. Trukai Sports continues after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. After successfully hosting Kenya and Namibia last year in the World Cricket League Championship and the Intercontinental Cup, the PNG Barramundis will this time play host to Scotland. Both competitions have a duration of 2 years, and in last year alone, the Barramundis proved to be worthy opponents.
Being in the top 4 in both the WCLC and the I-Cup meant more work to maintain and improve their positions, and the Barras are already hard at work. The recent departure of head coach Deepak Patel has seen to the team having former Australian fast bowler Jason Gillespie taking the reins to get them through the next 8 weeks. They are expecting strong opposition from Scotland, who is 2 ranks below the Barras on the points ladder in both competitions.
Yeah, they're playing the World Cricket League, and Scotland are coming here early October, so we're really excited about that. Players need to play more cricket. The associate nations, and this is a step in the right direction. So I'm really excited to be involved, and I've been made to feel very welcome by all the players, which has been fantastic. And this week is more meet and greet and just observe the lads and how they go about their work. And and hopefully when I next come back, leading into our tournament, and I can lend a hand and offer some advice.
It is crucial for them to beat Scotland, especially in the WCLC, now that they are placed second on the points ladder. With the comp ending at the end of this year, beating Scotland brings them one step closer to the title by way of points. Meanwhile, the fixture in October will also see 2 of Cricket PNG's very own umpire the matches, as they're now recognized as ICC standard umpires. Dinero Sraiko, National EMTV Sports.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. Up next, a quick look at the weather for Saturday. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Here's a quick look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, cloudy with some showers. Cloudy with some rain expected for Popondetta and Kerma. Cloudy in Daru, mostly fine in Alatau.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Friday, the 4th of August 2017. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant weekend. Good night.